So in the series of learning C programming, we are discussing dynamic memory allocation in C. In the last video, we have discussed what is dynamic memory allocation, or you can say basics of DMA. What is dynamic memory allocation, how DMA is different from static memory allocation, that we have discussed in previous video. And in that video, I have told you there are three functions which we use to allocate memory dynamically: calloc, malloc and realloc, and one function to deallocate memory, that is free function. Right. So all these functions in detail we will discuss one by one. In this video we will talk about malloc function, how to dynamically allocate memory using malloc function. Every single detail about this function we will discuss in this video with the help of a proper program. Right. Practically also I will show you on my laptop like how to use this function in your program, how the memory would be allocated, what is the syntax of using this malloc function, and everything about this function. Right. But before that, I just want to tell you one thing. If you are preparing for GATE 2023 and 2024 exam, or will be preparing for this exam, then Unacademy is going to start new batches from 9th of March. In these batches, their top educator will be covering all the subjects of CS and IT for your GATE preparation. And in this course, you will get preparation strategy, tips and tricks, practice questions, numericals, along with detailed explanation of all the concepts. And the course would be covered in both Hindi and English, and notes would be given to you in English only. Plus separate doubt clearing session would also be conducted, so you can get all your doubt cleared in those sessions. But this is paid subscription. You will get complete and structured course. So you can use my code JKL10 to get 10% discount on your paid subscription. One more great offer is there for you. If you take 24-month GATE and ESC plus subscription, you will get extra 4 months free on it, just to help in your GATE and ESC preparation. Means you are supposed to pay for 24 months and you will get extra 4 months. Right? The price detail you can see on my screen. And if you take 12 months of GATE and ESC plus subscription, you will get extra 3 months free on it, just to help you in your preparation. And this offer is valid till 10th of March. And if you will use my code JKL10, you will get extra 10% off on these reduced prices. So you can see the price detail on the screen. So all the relevant links and details I will put in the description box of this video. If you are interested, you can go and check out. Now let's see how to dynamically allocate memory using malloc function. First thing, malloc means, the full form you can say it's memory allocation. Right? And generally we use this function to allocate memory to structures. Structures we have discussed in the previous videos, right? So basically we use to allocate memory for structures. This function generally we use, and for arrays generally we used calloc function, but it's okay, you can use for arrays, you can use malloc also. It's not like that only structures you can use malloc, right? But generally we use for structure malloc function. Why so? That also we'll discuss. See, now malloc means memory allocation. So what will happen? The general syntax of writing malloc function is what? You are supposed to write malloc and one argument only, the size. Suppose I am writing 8. It means 8 bytes. It will allocate from where? From heap. That I have told you in previous video. From heap section, the memory would be allocated dynamically, not from stack section, from heap section. Right? So it will allocate, or it will reserve one complete block from the heap section of how many bytes? 8 bytes. Right? And plus one more thing it will do, it will return a pointer, or you can say it will return address, base address of this block. Suppose base address is 2000, or you can say address of the first byte 2000, the next byte address is 2001, then like this. So it will return the address of the first byte, or you can say the base address, that is 2000. It will return this thing, right? So obviously you are supposed to store this address, right? And this is address, so you are supposed to take a pointer also, right? That is why to allocate memory dynamically, you are supposed to use pointers. Without pointers, you cannot do this thing. So this is one great application of pointer, right? To dynamically allocate memory, we use pointer, right? So now obviously this also we'll discuss. Now what we'll write, the general syntax of this malloc function is what? Malloc, and here we write the size underscore t and size, and the return, it will return what? Address, right? So return type would also be a pointer, but which type of pointer? It is void pointer, void asterisk. The return type of this is void asterisk, like this you will write. Void pointer we have discussed in previous videos, it's like generic pointer, right? So now, at size t means it's nothing but unsigned int. Either you can take 0 or positive value, not negative value, right? Here you cannot take negative value, memory cannot be negative, right? So size you are supposed to take either 0 or positive value only, right? Now, why it will return void pointer? Void is generic pointer, right? So why it will return this void pointer? See, I am saying that I want 8 byte of block, right? So malloc will reserve a memory segment from heap of 8 byte. But right now there is no idea that which type of value I will store here. It may be integer value, float value, character or anything, right? So we cannot, so malloc doesn't know which type of values you want to store here. So that is why it return void pointer, generic pointer. Now according to your requirement, which type of value you want to store, you can typecast this void pointer. You can typecast it. Suppose I want to store integer value here. So you can typecast this pointer into integer pointer. If you want to store float value, you can typecast it into float also. That is why malloc returns void pointer, because it doesn't have any idea which type of value you will store in this reserved memory segment, right? That's why Dennis Ritchie team did this, like return only void pointer. So all type of value you can store here. You can type, because we have one more funda of typecasting, so you can typecast it and you can store it. Suppose it is fixed that malloc will return int type of pointer. So always you can store in this memory integer value, not float value or any other kind of value, right? That's why I hope now you got why the return type of this is void pointer. Fine. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in comment box, right? Next is, it is what unsigned it. Okay. Now, if we write here 20, so 20 byte block would be allocated. But generally we don't write here this fixed value. Which operator we use? Size of operator. So how we will write this thing? We will write malloc and size of, in bracket, suppose I want to take int. I have taken int pointer, int star ptr, means I want to store integer value here, right? So here I will take size of int. Size of int means in some machine integer take 4 bytes, in some machine it is take 2 bytes. That's why it is one of the reason that we cannot directly write here 20, right? Or maybe for, suppose I want to store here 3 integer, right? So you will write here 3 into size of int, means 3 into 4, that is 12 bytes would be allocated to you. So maybe you will say, can I write here malloc 12, it will allocate you 12 byte, right? No, it's not a good practice. Why so? Because in some machine integer take, it depends on compiler to compiler, 4 bytes. In some it takes 2 byte. Maybe in my machine it is taking 4 byte. Maybe you are using in your PC it is taking 2 byte. So you cannot fix, write this. You cannot fix it that let me just, I'm going to store 3 integer, so 12 byte. No. If in your machine integer is taking 2 byte, then you will need only 6 byte memory. So why you will reserve a space of 12 byte, right? That is wastage of memory. And to remove this drawback, wastage of memory, we use dynamic memory allocation. So we cannot waste memory. Memory is very crucial resource. That is why we use here size of and int. Let just the compiler decide what is the size of integer. Why we should take this headache of writing this fixed size, right? So I hope this is clear to you why we write size of operator. I hope this is clear to you that why malloc return type is void pointer, right? And I hope the syntax is also clear to you. Fine. Now one more point is how to typecast. Suppose here I want to store integer value and it will return void pointer, right? It is returning this address. 3 into size of int means it will now reserve 12 byte space, right? and it is going to return the base address. Suppose base address is 2000, fine, for the first integer, then we will store the second integer, then third integer, but it is going to return this in the form of void pointer. So we are supposed to typecast it into integer pointer, right, because we are storing integer value. So how to typecast it? Before this, just write int asterisk and bracket. So now whatever the address it will return, just store it into a pointer, ptr. This is the syntax. I hope the syntax is clear to you, and semicolon, right. Int star ptr means this pointer is going to store address of a variable whose data type is integer, right. I hope this is clear to you. So now this we have typecasted it into int pointer, and that address we are going to store in this int type of pointer, right. And one more point about malloc is what? The memory, if you will not initialize these integer, this byte, then by default it would be initialized with some garbage value. Here also we will have some garbage value, some garbage value, some garbage value. If without initializing these integer, if you will print these values, then it will give you some garbage value, maybe some minus value or any value. Garbage value it will give, right. Next point about malloc function is what? If this malloc is not able to allocate memory from heap, suppose memory is of n byte and you want to allocate memory n plus 1 byte, so obviously the memory would not be allocated to you. So in case of failure, it will return null pointer, and on success it will return the base address, or you can say the address of the first byte of that reserved block. It will reserve a complete block of these bytes. How many bytes you want? For those bytes it will reserve a complete block. So the address of the first byte of that block it will return, or the base address it will return, and on failure it will return null, right. So in your program also, after allocating this, we will check if this ptr is equal to null. Simply you will write printf memory, or you can say malloc is not able to allocate memory, or memory allocation failed. These type of error you can print, and that's it. Else you can do whatever you want to do, right. And after your task is done, just use free function to free the allocated memory, right. Free and the name of that pointer, that is ptr we are taking, so ptr and semicolon, that's it, right. Now let me just write down a simple program. So this is the simple program. I just want to ask from the user some values, and I just want to print those values, right. So I have taken one pointer, integer pointer, n variable and I variable. I'll ask from the user enter total number of values. So in n I am going to store that thing. So now we'll store, suppose user enter total number of values, n value is at first time n value is 3, and that is obviously we want to store integer values because we are taking int pointer. So how many bytes would be allocated? N 3 into 4, that is 12. So in simply malloc we will write n into size of int, that's it. If user is entering n value is equal to 5, that I want to store 5 values, simply here we will do, this malloc will do 5 into 4, that is 20 byte would be allocated. According to your need, dynamically memory would be allocated, and we are converting it, typecasting it into int, and then in pointer I am going to store. So now for enter values, just take a for loop from 0 to n. Using pointer, how you can access? See, with this pointer only you can access that memory, dynamically allocated memory, right. So using pointer only we will access that memory, and we will store there the values. I am not using here address of operator. Why? Address of means we need to tell the scanf function the address where you want to store, but pointer itself store address of that location, so no need to write down here address of operator, right. Suppose here one block of memory has been allocated from this is suppose heap, this is my heap, and n value user has entered, n value is 3. So how many byte would be allocated? A block of 12 bytes, 3 into 4, right. And suppose base address is 2000, so it will return 2000, that would be stored in pointer. But this pointer is what? This pointer is what? It would be in stack memory. This is dynamically allocated memory, but this pointer, this is what? this n, I, this pointer, these are what? Static memory allocation. So these variables will take memory from the stack frame, stack frame of main. So here we have, this is PTR and it is going to store address of 2000. So it is going to point here now. So using this pointer we can access this thing, right? Now PTR plus I value is 0, means 2000 plus 0 into 4. I hope you know how to do arithmetic with pointers. If you don't know, we have already uploaded a video on this thing. You can check out the C programming playlist, right? Now at 2000 only we are going to store the value. Suppose user has entered 4, so that would be stored here, right? Now next I value becomes 1, so 1 into 4. So next address would be 2004. 2004. Suppose next value entered is 5. I value becomes 2. Now 2 into 4, that is 8. 2008. Now next value would be stored at 2008, that is suppose 10, right? Now I value becomes first 0, then 1, then 2. Now becomes 3. Is 3 less than 3? N value is 3. No. So out of the loop and here. So 3 value we have stored, and using pointer only we can access these values. Same for loop from 0 to n, 0, 1, 2, right? Once it becomes 3, it will exit. Till then it is going to print asterisk. We are using why? So this is indirection operator. It will give value at this address. So first of all, pointer is, in pointer we have 2000 plus I value at first is 0. So asterisk 2000. So it will print value at 2000, that is 4 it will print. Then I becomes 1, then 2000 plus 1 into 4, that is 2004. Asterisk 2004, value at 2004 is 5. So it will print 5, then 10, right? I hope this is very simple program. I am using malloc for just entering an array of 3 integers. Generally we use it with structures. So it's your assignment. You are supposed to take a structure, maybe a structure of student or employee, anything you can take, right? And then there use malloc. If you are not okay with this, if you are finding any problem in that program, you can tell me in comment box. We can, I can upload a separate video where we will take an example of structure, how to use malloc in structure, right? So now I hope this is clear to you. Let me just show you practical of this thing. So let me just create a new file here. I am writing malloc.c only, right? And one more point about this is what all these functions, 4 functions for dynamic memory allocation and deallocation, these are defined in stdlib.h. So you are supposed to include this library also if you want to use these functions in your program, otherwise it will give error, right? Now I am taking int n, then one variable I, and one is ptr, right? Enter total number of values you want to print. You can write something like this, and %d address of n, right? Now let me just, how to write down malloc. This is what typecasting. We are going to store integer value. Just write down malloc, then n into size of operator and size of int, because I want to store int value, right? Now memory has been allocated to you. Now from the user we will ask enter the values, right? For better formatting, let me just write down /n here, and just a for loop. I is equal to 0, I less than n, and I plus plus, right? And in this we will use a scanf %d, and what, using pointer we can access these values, so ptr plus I, right? And if you want to print these values, entered values, then one more for loop, and here you will write down the entered values are, right? One more for loop, and rather than scanf, we will use printf %d, and here we will use asterisk indirection operator, because that's why we can use value at this address, right? And after this, you will use free. We are going to free this memory also. This is your responsibility, right? You have to free this memory explicitly using this free function. Fine. Now let me just run this and show you the output. See, enter total number of values. So I am going to enter 3 values. So enter the values 1, 2, 3. So the entered values are 1, 2, 3. For better formatting, you can just put here a /t tab. That is also fine. But whatever we want that program, whatever the expected output, it is giving you that output, right? So why this? See, now next time if you will enter, like enter the values, and next time the user want 5 values, so that is also fine. For 5 values, memory would be allocated, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So it's like how many values you want to enter at the runtime you will tell, and that only memory allocated to you using dynamically. Statically if you will use, then you will do what? We will take an array, like I am taking int array, and let's take maximum size of array, let's take 30. Maybe you will take 5 or 10 or 15 or 17 or 25, let's take maximum. Generally we take 50 or 30, right? Now suppose user enter only 5 values, so remaining the block of memory which has been reserved for you, allocated to you, because it is static memory allocation, 30 into 4, that is 120 bytes has been allocated to you. So remaining bytes you are using only memory of for 5 integer, 5 into 4, that is 20 bytes you are using. The remaining bytes are unnecessary wastage of memory, right? That is why rather than using this static memory allocation, better to use this pointer concept, or a pointer concept means dynamic memory allocation, right? It's same like if let's take a real life example. If you are in a hostel, so for having your meal, your lunch or dinner, you go to mess, right? And if sometimes it happens like you don't go to mess and you ask your friend to bring you some chapatis, so उसको नहीं पता कि आपको कितनी खानी है, और सपोज आपको भी नहीं पता कि कितनी भूख है, सो आप कहोगे कि 4 चपाती या 5 चपाती ले आना मेरे लिए, and you eat only 2 chapatis, so remaining 3 chapatis are waste, right? आपने मैक्सिमम मंगवाई है कि मैं 2 खाऊं, 3 खाऊं, 4 खाऊं, बट 5 मंगवा लेता हूँ, फाइन. बट द बेटर ऑप्शन इज गो टू मेस. वहाँ आपको यू कैन टेक 2 चपाती फर्स्ट. अगर आपको और चाहिए 1 चपाती आप और ले सकते हो, अगर 4 चाहिए तो 1 और ले सकते हो, राइट? ऐसा नहीं होगा कि वेस्टेज हो जाएगा. बट अगर आपको रूम पे मंगवाना है तो आप मैक्सिमम चपातीज़ मंगवाओगे कि मैक्सिमम मंगवा लेता हूँ, क्या पता मैं कितनी खाऊंगा, और रिमेनिंग वो वेस्ट हो जाती है. आई होप यू आर एबल टू रिलेट दिस रियल लाइफ एग्जाम्पल विद दिस memory like dynamic memory and static memory allocation, right? If you have any better real life example of this thing, you can write down that thing in comment box, and the best example I'll pin, right? I'll pin that comment so that everyone and other student can also get help from your example, right? So I think that's it for this video now. So now I guess everything about malloc is clear to you guys. Like you don't need to memorize the syntax of malloc. You'll write here int star or malloc and this type of thing. No. Now I guess you have the logic behind everything you have written here, right? So you can use malloc now in your program. Fine. So in the next video we'll see calloc function with the help of a program. So now I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye. Take care.